Wow, it's sunny, but it's cold. And today is no different. Welcome back to GP Outdoors. I owe you good folks 2 midwinter updates. First up, the winter work glove experiment. We started the season with 5 pairs of gloves. I've got a few surprises for you. I think at negative 27 degrees out, I think it's a little more comfortable inside. Let's go. Whew. One thing about our winters up here, when it's this bright and sunny and clear in the sky, you know it's super cold out. That's a little better. Oh man. So hey, before we get into each of these pairs of gloves, I'll put a link up here to the initial video so you know about the 5 gloves that I chose for this winter's test. And I want to put a little context or set the stage a little bit. Maybe like you or unlike you, I wear my gloves throughout the day in the wintertime, and usually to some degree they get wet by the end of the day. And I do one of 3 things usually, depending on whether I'm down in the city or I'm here at the cabin. I'll either throw them on the floor overnight in front of the fireplace to dry out, or I'll put them on the vent heater from the furnace, or if I'm at home, my wife or I will throw them into the dryer to dry them out. This is kind of important, and you're about to see why. The second point to keep in mind, although we're sitting at the beginning of March, I have not processed or split firewood since before Christmas. So in all fairness, these gloves have not had a full winter workout. They've suffered through a lot of cold weather, a lot of wet, a lot of working with the tractor, doing outside maintenance or projects out in the cold, whether it's at home or here, but they haven't actually gone through that abrasive test, which I'm looking forward to. And as soon as the weather clears, we'll get at it again. The first pair of gloves was this DeWalt outdoor cold weather glove, or at least that's what it claimed. I have to be honest, big letdown. As I mentioned on the last update a few months ago, I stopped using them. It says it's a cold winter glove, and in all fairness, it's an acrylic glove and it's dipped. But it's a very flimsy glove, not a lot to it, and it is clearly not a winter work glove. This provides little to no heat for your hands, especially once you get down to around freezing or below. It's not a cold weather glove, so I've stopped using it. It was also overpriced in my mind for what you get. These were $27 Canadian, and I have a feeling respectfully, you're just paying for the name. This next one kind of makes me sad, my friends. You'll recall that we got 2 different pairs of gloves from Watson here in Canada. The first one was called the scapegoat model. Goat skin, lined, good, kind of general all-around winter glove. Certainly did not claim to be waterproof, so we know it wasn't. However, you may not be able to recognize them, but this is that pair of gloves. In fact, they don't fit anymore. And you may recall I mentioned to you they were a little bit bulky and a little bit larger for my hands than I usually like. Now they're too small. Over a period of the winter, whenever I was using them outside, as soon as you touch snow or slush or something wet, these gloves will soak that water up like a sponge. So like any other glove, I throw them out in front of the fireplace or over the vent or in the dryer to dry them out overnight. These gloves also had the unfortunate incident of having to help save Husky Bob's ATV out of the stream in the marsh about a month ago, if you remember that. I didn't have the right gloves at the time, and of course I soaked these through and through. Well, then I put them in the dryer. Let's just say that unfortunately these gloves do not like being dried out, whether it's over the vent or in the dryer, unlike my other gloves. And they shrunk really badly, as you can tell. They're unusable for me now. So unfortunately they didn't get a lot of exposure to firewood, but what I would have to say based on the performance of these gloves, I think these gloves are a nice casual winter glove to wear. They are not a pair of work gloves whatsoever. This is the kind of gloves you'll wear if you want to go out and shovel the snow, or you're taking the dogs for a walk, or you're out for a walk, or out doing errands with your wife in the winter. You know, you clear the snow off your truck, you jump in, and you go to town. Let's talk about the pair of gloves that has been the most unexpected surprise this winter. Several subscribers identified this pair of gloves by model number, and many of you had said not only do you find them to be a good winter glove, but you ice fish with them. It's the Showa 282s. I gotta tell you, very pleasantly surprised. Whether you use these as a work glove, which I wouldn't normally day to day, having a pair of these around the garage or the workshop is a must-have. $19.99. This is a fully waterproof glove. It's actually a shaped glove you may have noticed the fingers are curled. And that's because our hands don't normally stand like this. When you're in a relaxed position, your hands are curled. So the glove is actually molded in that position, which makes them very comfortable to wear. The big benefit for these gloves, which I found and surprised to have found, they're waterproof, they're lined. This is the pair of gloves I should have been using when we were hauling Husky Bob's ATV out of the stream. They've got a nice long cuff on them, and what I found them most useful for is when you're working with oils or lubricants or any types of liquids, or you're in the slush or any type of a wet environment. Because unlike skins or hides, when you get oil and grease all over these gloves, you just grab a rag and wipe them off, and they're clean and good as new. And they're still, to this day, waterproof. They fit nice, they have a comfortable fit, and hey, they're waterproof, and it says that they're rated to -60 degrees. I'm not so sure about that, because in the cold, or -20 or below, maybe -15 or below, your fingers will start to tingle pretty quick, even though you've got that felt liner. But from my perspective, this is not a work glove I would use every day. It's a work glove I would use when I'm working with lubricants or grease or any types of fluids in the wintertime. And hey, if I'm out catching rainbow trout with Husky Bob, I'm definitely wearing these gloves or using them. So that leaves us with 2 pair of gloves. I'm gonna save the best for last because it was the biggest surprise. You'll remember the Commander series that we got from Watson here in Canada. This is a very comfortable glove, as I've mentioned to you. The challenge is I have not been able to put it to the test for the abrasion test. They haven't pumped out or worked on a lot of firewood yet, and I really want to see that. They're a nice, comfortable glove, but as a daily work glove, if you'll remember, they're impact gloves. They're actually rated for impact protection. So you've got this thick rubber-like coating on the back. It doesn't make them uncomfortable, but you certainly know it's there. And I think this type of glove is best suited for things like working with splitters, firewood, any type of tractor or machinery type of work where you might have the danger of any type of an impact. And they fit nice, as I told you folks. They work great. I would have to say that the heat value of these gloves is probably on par with the scapegoats before their demise, as well as the next pair of gloves, overall in the winter. The challenge is I want to find out how well this synthetic material does with firewood. And I don't think the little bit of firewood I processed with them back in December is a good enough test. But from a winter perspective, or wearing them generally out with the tractor, good glove. And I would say reasonable to high dexterity, because remember, you've got the rubber on the back pulling your fingers back naturally. The biggest surprise so far this winter, I don't know how many of you had recommended this type of glove, and I've never owned a pair until you recommended them, and I searched them out in the United States and had them shipped up to Canada. Gloves by Kinko. Water buffalo skin gloves. Waterproof on the back, water resistant or water repellent on the skin. Really well made. You can go back to the other video to get the real details out of it, but I have to tell you, hands down, these buffalo skin gloves are the most comfortable, highest dexterity, warmest gloves out of the 5 of them so far this winter. And as you can probably tell from the fingers, I use these almost all the time now, every day. And the only time I'm using the other ones is for the purpose of wearing them just for the test. But other than that, whether I'm home in the city or I'm here, hands down, these water buffalo gloves, 2 thumbs up all the way. Like the other gloves, they're very warm. If you're standing around casually in -30 degree weather, or -20 to -30 degrees or below, your fingers will start to get cold. But if you're out working on the tractor, shoveling snow, doing things in the shed, or whatever types of maintenance or projects you're doing in the winter, as long as your hands are moving, your hands will stay warm. Full dexterity, full marks for dexterity. And as you can see, the skin wears really nicely. They dry great in front at night. They don't shrink up on you. And bottom line, I am loving these buffalo skin gloves. You guys were right. Again, I got them from Kinko. You'll remember the make and model is in the first video above me, if you're interested in them. So that kind of wraps it up for our kind of late midwinter review or update on the gloves. I think as we go forward and the weather changes, we start losing some snow and we can get back to processing some firewood, I think we're going to be focused on these 2 pair of gloves right here. The Commander series from Watson and these buffalo skin gloves from Kinko. Hope you found that helpful.